This conference will now be recorded.
So how about environments here? Did you get a chance to download them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Are you able to set it up or?
Sir,
Yep.
actually, one issue only. Now I'm able to set it up also, but I'm tried many times, but not able to stop. Means able to stop one time that batch management service, but many times giving that timeout error, and because of which I'm not able to do that admin user provisioning. So I tried. I Googled it for 2-3 times. There was some
Okay.
backup. Means
Did you
so
set it
because
up
of
in Hyper-V?
yeah, I used it, set up it by using a Hyper-V.
Okay. Then whatever you need to do is, if you go to settings, okay, you need to turn off your machine. Go to settings. You can see this processor now. Allocate maximum number of processors you have
I
and
did that
memory.
7. Same
Allocate
thing
more amount
I
of memory. Okay.
yes.
If you have done these things and even then if you're getting the timeout now, then you need to try it because the problem is that the batch management server will take a lot of time to start, and which is why you'll get that error, and that depends on your CPU performance again.
Okay.
Okay. What is your CPU configuration?
My CPU configuration is I'm using i5, having 128 GB SSD, 1 TB, Windows 10 Pro, and
Okay, so you have 1 TB hard disk in your
24
this
GB
one.
RAM. 24 GB RAM.
Because if you have it in the SSD, then it will be faster. Okay, because in the SATA disk now, the development environment will be a bit slow, so which is why you are getting that error. But if you need to upgrade, you need to upgrade to 256 GB SSD, and then you can have it in it. Okay, but in SATA, what I suggest you is you need to retry. There is no other option. You need to stop and run the batch service. Once the batch service goes into running state, then you need to try it back again. That's the only option you have. Okay, because in
Okay.
SATA it will take some time.
Yes. Okay. Thank
Okay,
you. I'll.
yeah, you can. Now see here, I think we have created an address table, but I am not able to see that here. Don't know where it went. Let's see. Sometimes this will happen here. Okay, if you turn off your VM and then automatically the project file might get lost. Okay, so whatever you need to do is you need to right click on the AOT, click on the model viewer, and you should be able to see ICICI. You need to check whether the table got created or not. It's there. Right click on add to project. Similarly, you will have the EDTs. Base enums is there. Extended data types, we have more in number here. Simply right click, add to project. It will add all of them to project. Done. Okay, this is how you can get it back. Now, open this address table, and then you can see we have created the fields. Good. Now we were into the properties and we have discussed a few of the properties, cache lookup, all those, and we came back to the created date time, created and then developer documentation, and then modified date time, modified by. Okay, so these are the properties available. And similarly, save data per company. Okay, I will come back to the replacement key again. Save data per company is one of the interesting property. Okay, now what does this address table contain? City, country, district, street, state, zip code. Now I have one question for you. Can this data be shared across the companies, or this should be unique for each company? What do you think? Can
Can be
this data
shared.
be shared? Can be shared. Why it can be
Yes.
shared? Because everyone knows this data here. Okay. If it is a public contact number, then what is the meaning of hiding it? Okay. So if it is a private, then you can hide it. So when you are classifying the data is classified into public data, private data. What is public data? The data that can be shared with everyone. Private data. What is private data? The data that is specific to the company. Okay. For example, if you take Airtel customer care, they will also have different type of data. One is plans. Okay, mobile plans. So what do you think? Can the mobile plans can be shared to everyone, or is it public? Is it private? What do you think? What do you think?
Public.
Shared. Mobile plan should be shared. So more and more
Yes,
people.
public. Exactly. So what about the data of the customers? What do you think?
It
The data of the
should be
customers
private.
should be private. This is how we need to decide. Okay. We need to identify the type of the data. Based on the type of the data, you need to decide whether you want to go for the public data or whether you want to go for the private data. Okay. That means whether you want to go for sharing the data across all the companies or whether you want to share the data only to a specific company. Then what you can do? If you want to have data separately for each company, then you need to use the save data per company to yes. If you want to have the data for all the companies, then you need to set save data per company to no. If you set save data per company to no, the data is available for all the companies. And the next property is storage mode. This is available in D365, not in AX 2012. So here, the storage mode is again very interesting property. You can see there are two properties. One is disk, second one is in memory. What is disk? Now itself, Gaurav said, "Na, it's no." I think Varun said, "Na, I have it in SATA disk, and it is slower." I told him, if it is possible, you can upgrade, and then it will be very fast. Okay. So similarly, they have also given two properties here: disk and in memory. Okay. But frankly speaking, anyway, as I told you, na, while developing, the developers will misuse this property. How they will misuse? Actually, they want to run the program faster. If you need to run faster, I told you that everything should be loaded into RAM. Is that right? That in memory indicates RAM. Okay. I told you once the program is loaded into RAM, it will be faster. Okay. So here as well, in memory means the data of the table will be stored into RAM. So obviously it will be faster. But what is the size of the RAM? It will be limited. It is limited. 64 GB, 128 GB max. It is limited set. Okay, as the size of the data gets increased, the performance will decrease if you load everything into RAM. So how you need to plan is, this future is given for a specific purpose. Okay, the planning should be done. How it should be done is, first of all, we need to identify the tables which we are using regularly, which we are using very regularly, and whatever the data that we have in it is less. Okay, data that we have in it is less. For example, if it is a reference and it contains 5,000, 10,000 records or less, then what you can do is you can go and keep in memory as the property. In memory for storage mode. Whereas if you go for the transactional data and if you keep it in memory, what will happen? The transactional data size will increase like anything. One or the other data, it will get exploded. You can't use all the futures. Okay, because you know how the RAM works. Once the RAM gets filled up, it will move into something called cache, disk cache. If it moves into the disk cache, obviously it will become slowed down here. Is that right? As the RAM size goes on increasing, it will try to push the data back into the cache. Let me show you. If you go to task manager, you can see that. Okay, in the performance, you can see here memory. What it said? 9.1 GB, maximum my RAM is 10 GB, available is 697 MB, and committed is 10.8 by 13.8 GB. Where did it go? All the 10.8 by 13.8 GB in the committed. Cached is 510 GB. Where did it go? It will all go into the again disk. You can see that. Where you can see that? If you go to C drive and if you click on the view button, if you see the hidden items, okay, it's not showing the system items. 1 second. Apply. Okay. Now can you see this? This is where it go. Each and every time the RAM gets filled up, it will go into the disk. Then what is the purpose of setting that property? Because few of the people used to come back on the same thing. We set it to in memory, but it is slower. Why? This is the problem. So whenever you are working with the tables and considering the storage mode property, you need to remember, you need to set it to disk by default. Okay, unless and until you have a specific requirement where you have the data constraint, as I have said, and you want the queries on that is being run continuously, then you can use it to memory. Okay, you can use in memory. Okay, these are the two things that you can do. And the subscriber access level, whether you want to provide the read, update, create, correct, delete, okay, depending upon the permissions you want to give, you can. Okay, next, system table. Is this a system table? No, this is mine, so it's not. Table contents, whether it's a base data or the default data, so by default you can say to not specified. That's a mandatory. Table type, this is one more interesting property. Regular, in memory, tempdb. Regular means the data is persistent, sorry, the data is persistent. Means you save the data and you can forget, the data will be in the table anyways. In memory means the data is stored inside the RAM. So once you restart the system, the data is gone. Don't worry, that's not case of storage mode. Okay, it's a different way around. Next, tempdb. Tempdb is the database. Tempdb is the database in SQL. So why they came up with the tempdb is, in the traditional way, what happened is when they are working with the temporary tables in the in memory, as I told you, there's a possibility of data loss. Okay, when let's say system got hanged and they need to restart, the data will get lost automatically. Okay, and they cannot retrieve it back as it is on RAM. So they come up with an approach called tempdb, wherein they will store all the data into the temporary database in the SQL, which lies in the disk. Even when the system got hanged, you would be able to restore the data from the tempdb. Okay, that's possible. Okay, which is why they came up with tempdb. And there are some more benefits, like you can use indexes on tempdb, whereas in memory tables they are not going to work like this. Okay, we will discuss about more on this when we go to reports. And then valid time state. This is one more interesting property. The purpose of this valid time state property is, now let's say in every company we have the employees. Employees are not going to stay for lifetime. Okay, but actually employee data should be maintained for lifetime. It might be 7 years, 8 years, or whatever it can be. So if that data should be maintained, okay, then what company needs to know? From when to when the employee has worked in the company. Okay, whether he is still working in the company or not. To know those details, we will have two different fields. One is called valid from, and the second field is called valid to. One is called valid from, and the second one is called valid to. Okay, for those fields, we are going to use valid time state. Okay, we are going to use valid time state. Please remember that. Okay, so this is about valid time state property. And then we have the visibility, whether it's a public or the internal table. If you set it to public, all the users and everyone can say this. Internal means we can set it up. Okay, whether you want to allow the change tracking in this table. If you want to allow the change tracking, that means modifications and all those things, then you can set it to yes, otherwise you need to set it to no. And there is one more thing called table inheritance. What is it? table inheritance. Okay, I will come to this concept in the later sessions. Okay, and one of the session I will explain you what is it and how to work with it. Okay, because currently for this table it is not needed. So next, now we know what are the fields, and now let's see what are the field properties. Field properties, you should see something here. Okay, I want to show you EDT properties. EDT strings. I want to open one of the EDT string, and I want to go to properties. I want to show you something here. Appearance, behavior. Appearance. See this. Appearance. See this. Okay. If you see these properties now, you will find that the properties will be similar. Okay. The properties of table field will have less properties when compared to EDT. Behavior, allow edit on create, mandatory save contents. Let's see whether for EDT we have it or not. Behavior, oh, they are not there because the field behavior is different, the EDT behavior is different. Okay, so allow edit, whether you want to allow the user to update the data in a table. If you want to allow the end user to update data in a table, set allow edit to yes. Allow edit on create means whether you want to allow editing the data of this particular when data is being created in the table. Okay, or you want to set some default value. Okay, based on that you can set it to yes or no. Mandatory, whether this field is mandatory or not. For example, zip code is there and this is the unique index. So what I will do, I will set mandatory to yes. Okay, the remaining fields I don't want to care. For this field, zip code is mandatory. Okay, for example, if you take the customer, if you take the example of a customer, okay, in this customer, what is mandatory? The name is mandatory, and mobile number is mandatory, and the PAN card number is mandatory, and customer ID is mandatory. Building name, building number, this is not mandatory here. Okay, if you want to make them mandatory, you can. Email ID is not mandatory, occupation is not needed, unless and until if he wants to receive the mails, then you can add the email ID. Otherwise, it is not needed. Like that, depending upon the requirement, we can set the mandatory property to yes. If you set mandatory property to yes, the user cannot update or insert the record without adding data into this field. Okay, adding data into this field will be mandatory. Save contents, yes. And now data properties. You can see AOS authorization, configuration key. These properties, if you see up to here, this will be similar to that of a table properties in the data. EDT, we know what is extended data type now. Okay, future class, I will come back to this again. Field update. Okay, whether absolute or relative data. Okay, whether it should be absolute or relative, I will explain in more details for this. These EDT relations are obsolete, but still in few of the tables we have these EDT relations, which is why they have set this property. Okay, in few of the tables, in few of the extended data types, they still have the relations. In future versions, they might remove this, I think. Okay, is obsolete means whether we are using this table or not. If this is you are not using and you are going to obsolete this feature in the upcoming versions, then you need to set is obsolete property to yes. Related table. Okay, this related table will indicate that from which table you want to get the data of zip code. If you have any table from which you are getting the data of zip codes, then you can set that table here. Okay, the related table I will explain in detail. I will come back to that one. Okay, single data sharing type. Relation context, you can specify the context. Okay, single data sharing type, whether it's data sharing type is optional or whether you don't want to share the data or whether you want to always share the data. Based on the requirement, again we will set it up. Okay, whether for this field data sharing is allowed or not. For this particular field, if the data sharing is allowed or not, you are going to indicate by using single data sharing type. Okay, and frankly speaking, most of the properties you will not see in MSDN as well. Okay, next, field groups. This is again an interesting property. Okay, you can see the first one is auto report. When you are creating a report for this address table, what are the fields you want to have by default? Okay, because whenever we design a SSRS report, we will have auto design and precision design. In auto design, what are the default fields that you want to have, if any? If the report is generated automatically, then you can use this auto report. Okay, you can directly use this auto report group and then you can set it up. Next, if this table is being used as a related table, what are the fields you want to show to the end user? You can use auto lookup. Auto identification, you cannot create anything new here because that will come automatically. Auto summary, if you have any summary fields, then you can add them to the auto summary. Okay. Auto browse, those are the fields used for browsing, but auto summary and auto browse are optional. Okay, we will not use them. Very rarely you will use them, or I can say, for example, if you are working on Flipkart like thing for summary fields. Okay, indexes. Now let me come back to the indexes. To create an index, right click on the index, click on the new index. Now give a good name to this. I will call this as zip code IDX. Okay, zip code IDX. And you can see there are few properties here. One is index type. Coming to the index type, there are two index types. One is called index, and the second one is column store index. Okay, and coming to this column store, do anyone of you know about this column store? This
No.
column store is not the SQL Server 2014 or 2000. It's in 2016, I think, as I do remember. Okay, this was designed after SQL Server 2016 or 17. Okay, I don't remember the version exactly, but in AX 2012 we don't have this. Okay, this is the brand new thing. Okay, so people used to confuse a lot. What is the difference between normal index and the column store index? Okay, coming to the normal index, as I told you, it will create a lookup table. Coming to the column store index, the difference is index data is stored in a row based format if it is a traditional index. Index data is stored in the form of a column based format if it is a column store index. Okay, here they have given us the option whether you want to store the data in the form of a column format or whether you want to store in the form of a row based. Okay, so now if you ask me what makes the difference when you are storing in the column format, the first advantage is the reduced storage. Okay, the amount of storage that will be used by column store index will be reduced, whereas coming to the row storage, as I told you, it is going to store the entire row, so obviously it will be increased here. Okay, that's the main difference between both of them. So due to the effective storage usage, we are going to use column store indexes. So that's up to you. Okay, you can use any one of them. And I think this is from SQL Server 2012. It is available in SQL, but coming to the this one, we got it only after 2016 when we are in Rainier. Okay, please remember this. This is in the version SQL Server 2012. From 2012, I think we got it. But coming to Dynamics, we got this property in the version Rainier. Okay, please remember 7.0. I'm setting it to column store because of the reduced storage. Done. The next thing is enabled. Whether you want to enable the index or not. Okay, whether you want to enable the index or not. If you want to enable the index, you need to set this property to yes. If you want to disable the index, set this property to no. Okay, now here on this index type, there was one more question for me. Okay, I did not get this question, but I will tell you what is that. So you can see allow duplicates, alternate key. If I set the column store as the index type, it has set allow duplicates to yes automatically and alternate key to no. By default, those are disabled. I cannot edit them. So when you will use column store indexes, when you have a huge amount of data with duplicates, then you need to go for column store indexes. Remember this. Okay, this is the case. In all the other cases, you need to go with the traditional index. Oh, no, even then, allow duplicates is set yes by previously, so it was yes. Okay, now zip code is a unique index, so you can set allow duplicates to no. Alternate key. See here, this alternate key property we will use, okay, when we need another index other than the primary index. Okay, but even if you set alternate key to yes, you can use it as both of them. You can use it as primary index or what do you call this? The alternate index. Okay, let's see that. Now you need to add a field. To add a field, either you can right click on this, click on the new field, or either you can simply drag and drop the field to it. Two ways possible. Now let me create one more index. Let me call this as composite key. Okay, see here, when we are discussing the indexes, I told you multiple things. Along with this, there is one more. Okay, we call it as, the first one is single field index. Single field index means which contains only one field. Okay, and the second one is called multi-field index or multi-field index or composite key. What is this? It can have more than one field in it. Okay, so now I want to create a composite key. Why? Because I want to add all these things. You can drag and drop them, and we need to order them. So the country should go at the first position. Please remember, whatever the order you define fields here, the same order will be defined in the index in the SQL. Okay, country, state, district, city, street. Done. Now coming to this composite key, allow duplicates, I am setting it to yes. Okay, you can see here, alternate key should be unique in nature. Alternate key should be unique in nature. You can see this. Okay, the next one is enabled is yes, and here, anyways, I am allowing the duplicates. So if you want to set it to column store, you can do that. That's possible. Done. Save. Okay, it's done now. Now the next step, I told you I will come back to the properties, few properties here. Clustered index. Now if I select this, you can see I have composite key, zip code radius. So clustered index can be unique or non-unique. So I will select the composite key. Primary index, I have zip code. There is no composite. So primary index is not going to allow duplicates. Primary index will not allow duplicates. Primary index should be unique in nature. Okay. Now coming to the next property, replacement key. Now let me expand this. Zip code IDX means the replacement key as well should be unique in nature. Yeah. Now you can see this. I have set this replacement key property. Now if I go to this field groups, auto identification, I got the zip code automatically. From where? The replacement key is used because by default, surrogate key is being used here in most of the cases. When you are using surrogate key, when you add some relation using this and add on the screen, it will simply show a rec ID as the field over there. The rec ID of no meaning. So instead of rec ID, we would like to show some meaningful values to the customer, which are unique, similar to surrogate key. So what we need to do? We should have a property called replacement key to do that. We should have a property called replacement key to do that. Okay, it will be used in the screens. When we go to the screens, you can see that. Okay, next, this is about the indexes, this is about the field groups, and this is about the fields, how we are going to create and how we are going to work with them. The next one is full text indexes. So this full text indexes, if you ask me, in my career I never used it because I did not get that requirement. So what is the requirement of a full text index? Sometimes what will happen is the customer will have a descriptive fields. Okay, descriptive fields whose length is, let's say, some 1000 characters or 2000 characters. Now if you want to index, if you want to create an index for them, it's very difficult. But the customer requirement is from that, if any particular user is trying to search something, he would like to get the data immediately from the description. Okay, from the description he would like to get the data immediately. So in that case, if you have the text field which has more amount of data, what do you have? You have the text field with more amount of data, and you would like to search on the descriptive data, then you are going to use full text indexes. Okay, it will create an index similar to that of a dictionary. Relations. Okay, to come back to the relations, I need to create few more tables. Relations and state machines. Okay, we'll come back to that one now. Okay, so in the meantime, what we will do is we'll create few more tables. Or let's do one thing. I don't want to create few more tables. First of all, we will do one thing. Today we will see in the SQL as well, and then we will start creating the tables tomorrow. That would be a good idea. So for this table to synchronize with database, I need to go to properties, set synchronize database to true, and then do a rebuild. Done. Let it do a rebuild. In the meantime, if you have any questions, you can ask me.
There was one property named visibility. What that means?
Oh,
I can easily
one.
see that in.
Yeah, I can show. I will explain you. 1 second. Can you say this? For clustered index, now they have given column star index, but it's not supported here. I think this is a bug from them. If it is not supported, then they should not give us. Only traditional indexes are supported for now. They are not supporting a clustered index for the column star index for clustered index. Okay, I have updated it. Okay. Now coming to your question, you mean to say in the table properties we have a property called visibility. What is the purpose of this? Is that right?
Yeah. Means in AOT, everyone can see, I think.
In AOT, everyone can see here. Developer will have full control. Okay, here the end users will not have the control. Please remember, developer is a system admin, so developers can see everything. Okay, developers can see everything because they are system admins, whereas the end users will not be able to see that. And here as well, you can see if you don't want this field to be visible on the front end, you can set this visible to no. Then obviously in the table browser as well, you cannot see that field. Okay. So for
Okay.
which type of fields we will set this visibility is, for example, you are generating a field, data of the field automatically. You want to use some data, that field in the back end, not on the front end. Okay. If you want to use that field on the back end and not on the front end, then you are going to use that visible property of the field.
There is one more property, save contents. So is that means the value of that field would not be saved on the database if I
If you
set
set it
that
to
to
no, it
no?
will not. No,
Okay.
that's the behavior, but we need to see because I never tried that.
But
Okay, build got completed. Now the next step is, let me open the SQL. Run as administrator. Hey, please set up the environments as soon as possible. Okay, so I hope only for this week we will continue only up to 8:45 so that you would be able to finish off creating the environments. From next week the sessions might continue up to 9:15, so you should be able to practice. Okay, so please create the machines as soon as possible. Okay, even if you know AX 2012 as well, you will see a lot of new things. Okay, you are going to see a lot of new things, so please practice. And whatever we discuss, most of the details you will not be able to see in MSDN as well. Okay, because MSDN also has the limited set of content, so whatever we see you might not get there. And one more thing is, most of the times people used to think, okay, anyways, we are recording the session, because I used to tell directly, yeah, you can record your session, that's not a big deal. You can record and you can practice later on. But if you record the session, you will simply think, okay, I have the recording, and that will be there. You will never use it. Okay, so please remember, try to practice when you are on the session so that you can ask me questions. Now, if I expand tables, if I go to dbboard.ici address, you can see table got created. Okay, now if I expand columns, now you can see the whatever the data that we have created, it's same here. Good. And you can see zip code is the primary key, partition is the primary key, they have set it automatically. Well, keys, it has defined only one index. What is this? It has defined only one key, sorry, not index. That is zip code IDX. And this is the primary index. Constraints, it has given few constraints for it. Oh, I don't want to go them into the detail because that's a different thing. Indexes, I am interested on this one. It has three indexes. One is record ID, one is zip code, one is composite key. Okay, two are non-clustered, one is clustered. Now if I right click and go to this index, create to new query editor window. Now you can see, what is this here? At the top we have partition. This I have not added now. By default, whenever the index is created, it will add partition to it, and then data area ID. Please remember, if save data per company is set to yes, it will add two fields. What is the two fields? Partition and data area ID. If save data per company is set to no, it will add one field, which is partition to your index. Please remember, this is very, very important. Okay, it is very, very important. Two fields will get automatically added to your index, and the remaining fields you can see now. Whatever the order you specify, you will get in the same order. The order is not going to change for the index you have defined. And let me script this as in a new query editor window. Now you can see this partition and zip code. Zip code is the unique index. Done. Okay, and this record index, if you don't want to create, we have a property called create record ID index at the table. You can set it to no. This is yes, so it has created the record ID index. And if you don't want to have it, you can set it to no. And please remember, whenever you are adding the data, don't add data from SQL, because the people have habit of adding the data in the SQL, but don't do that. The data of the Dynamics AX should be added from table browser in AX. If you right click on the table, you will have table browser. Open the table browser and add few records to it. Okay, let's add few records to it now. Click on the new button. Now let's see how the fields will react. One field is red color. Why? Because this is mandatory. All the mandatory fields will be in red color. Please remember. City, Hyderabad. Sorry. District. Hyderabad. State. Telangana. Street. Amirpet. Zip code 50089. You can see this. It throws the error as well if you're not filling it. Okay, done. You can press Ctrl S or you can click on save. New. Bangalore. India. Bangalore. Karnataka. HSR Road. 25. New. Noida. India. Delhi. Delhi. Street. Sweet House Road. Save. New. Like this, you can create any number of records. Chennai. Chennai. Tamil Nadu. And Hotel Road. Okay, done. So, okay, like this, you can create records in table browser. Okay. Now I want to see one more thing. I want to refresh this and check the sorting order. That will be a bit interesting. Okay. Now let's see. 1000054, 3000056, 4000025, 5000089. You can see the symbol here, arrow mark. The arrow mark indicates that it is sorted on the basis of that index. Okay. So in AX, the data is sorted on the basis of primary index. Now let me check in the SQL. Okay. Country, state, city. Seems like it took primary index, na? No, clustered only, because one after one you got 4. Okay. Oh, here state is D. Yeah. After India, it is starting with D, and then here India, it is starting with K. Here it is starting with T. Here it is starting with T. Okay. It took the order of the composite key. Got it? It took the order of the composite key. This is how it works. This is how the indexes and the table groups and all these things we are going to set it up. Okay. Yeah. Now it's your time. Please let me know if you have any queries. If there are no questions, I will end session for everyone. Let me check in. Check in. Yes. Okay. Done. Okay. If there are no queries, I will end session for everyone. Yeah, Gaurav?
No.
Okay. Thanks all for the session. Let's meet again tomorrow, same time. Thank you all. Bye.